Ellen Louise Stowe was born on March 19, 1956, in Little Rock, Arkansas. Her early years were shaped by movement, both geographic and personal. Her father worked as an engineer, a profession that required a level of precision and stability, while her mother maintained the home. The family relocated several times, living in different states, including Louisiana and Nevada. This shifting environment instilled in Ellen an adaptability that would serve her later in life, though it also left her with a constant urge to seek the next horizon. From an early age, she displayed a blend of charisma and independence. Those who knew her as a child remembered a girl who could command attention in a room, whether it was in a school play, a neighborhood gathering, or just telling stories among friends. She had a streak of curiosity about the world beyond her immediate surroundings, a curiosity that would lead her toward bigger cities and brighter lights. By her teenage years, Ellen's life began to take a turn toward performance. She experimented with style, clothing, and hair, developing a look that stood out. When her family spent time in Las Vegas, she was surrounded by a city designed to dazzle neon lights, live entertainment, and a constant stream of visitors from all over the world. This backdrop made a lasting impression. It was during these formative years that Ellen decided she wanted more than just to observe this kind of life. She wanted to be part of it. She began working in clubs, at first simply earning a paycheck, but gradually cultivating a persona. She eventually chose a stage name, one that would become iconic in certain circles: Star Stowe. The name wasn't random. It came from a small star tattoo she had placed on her body, a personal emblem that would later become her calling card in photographs. In the mid-1970s, Star moved to Los Angeles, a city that thrived on dreams and reinvention. There, she found work in nightclubs, often in the role of a dancer or entertainer. She made connections in the local music and photography scenes, and it wasn't long before she caught the attention of individuals connected to a magazine that, at that time, was among the most widely circulated men's publications in the world. By late 1976, Star was in front of the camera for a high-profile photo shoot. The following February, her life changed. She was chosen as the Playmate of the Month for February 1977. Her centerfold was distinctive. She posed with a bass guitar, wearing little else the small star tattoo visible. It was notable for being one of the first times the magazine featured a model with a visible tattoo in its iconic fold-out pages. This moment marked the peak of her modeling career. The magazine appearance opened doors. She found herself invited to parties, introduced to people in entertainment and music, and photographed in glamorous settings. One of the most well-known figures she became involved with was Gene Simmons, the bassist of the rock band Kiss. Their relationship placed her in the orbit of one of the era's biggest touring rock acts. The relationship, while high-profile in certain circles, eventually ran its course. Like many young models of that era, Star faced the challenge of maintaining momentum in an industry that constantly sought new faces. Work in modeling began to slow. She tried to diversify her career, taking on various projects. But the steady flow of high-paying opportunities began to diminish. During this period, she married a man named Peter Malago, and together they had a son, Michael. Becoming a mother changed the focus of her life. She attempted to create a more stable environment, balancing the needs of her child with her own ambitions and the realities of her career. Unfortunately, the marriage did not last. By the mid-1980s, Star had relocated to South Florida, an area with its own nightlife economy. There, she found work in clubs and bars, but the competition was fierce and the wages inconsistent. Reports from those who knew her suggest she struggled with maintaining financial stability, and at times she battled with substance use. There were periods of improvement, stretches where she found steady work and seemed to regain her footing, but these were often interrupted by setbacks. In the early 1990s, she lived with a boyfriend and was reportedly doing better. But by the mid-1990s, she had returned to working on the streets, taking dates to make ends meet. South Florida, particularly Broward County, had become a dangerous place for women working in this way. By early 1997, a series of disturbing incidents involving women in similar circumstances was drawing the attention of local law enforcement. Several women had been found harmed in ways that suggested a predatory offender might be targeting individuals living on the margins. On March 16, 1997, Star was seen in her Coral Springs neighborhood during the late afternoon. Witnesses recalled her speaking with acquaintances and walking along familiar streets. At some point between mid-afternoon and early evening, she disappeared from public view. That same evening, behind an Eckhart drugstore in Coral Springs, police responded to a report of a woman lying face down near the loading area. The responding officer noticed a star tattoo and thought it matched one he'd seen in an old magazine feature. The woman was identified as Star Stowe. The cause of her death was determined to be consistent with force applied to the neck. Her clothing was in disarray. From the start, investigators considered whether her death was connected to other recent cases involving women in the area. The similarities were difficult to ignore. The type of work the victims did, the locations where they were last seen, and the manner in which they were found. In the weeks that followed, police interviewed acquaintances, other women working in the area, and anyone who might have seen Star enter a vehicle that day. They also looked at individuals with prior offenses involving violence toward women. But without reliable eyewitness accounts, surveillance footage, or physical evidence directly linking a suspect, the investigation stalled. Throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, her case remained open, periodically revisited when new information came in, or when similar cases were reviewed for potential connections. Advances in forensic technology raised hopes that evidence collected at the time might one day yield a lead, but as of now, no one has been charged in connection with her death. Over the years, journalists and true crime programs have revisited Star's story, not only for the mystery surrounding her death, but also for the arc of her life. From a young woman in Arkansas, to a high-profile model, to a mother trying to navigate difficult circumstances. In 2023, her case was featured in a television series examining the lives of former models and the challenges they faced after their time in the spotlight. These accounts often emphasize her attempts to rebuild, to regain stability, and to be present in her son's life despite personal struggles. Friends recall her as someone with a lively personality, a quick wit, and a determination to keep trying even when faced with setbacks. Her story is not just about a single day in 1997. It is about the many days that led up to it. It's about a girl from Arkansas who reinvented herself as Star, who made it onto the pages of one of the most famous magazines of its era, who loved her child, who experienced both glamour and hardship, and who in the end became the focus of an unsolved case that still calls for answers. The Coral Springs Police Department has kept the file open. They continue to encourage anyone with information, no matter how small, to come forward. Sometimes the key to solving a case is a detail that seemed insignificant at the time, but gains meaning in light of other evidence. Star Stowe's life was complex. It was shaped by ambition, marked by a brief period of fame, challenged by the realities of sustaining a career in a volatile industry, and ultimately cut short in a way that remains unresolved. Her case stands as a reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by those living on the margins and the need for continued vigilance, compassion, and pursuit of justice. If you remember Star, if you knew her, or if you have any information about her final hours on March 16, 1997, law enforcement in Coral Springs is still listening. Her story deserves an ending, one that answers the questions left behind and honors the life she lived. Thank you for watching Fatal Secrets of True Crime. Subscribe for more stories like this. Real crimes, hidden truths, and the secrets they tried to bury. Your support helps keep these stories alive and the pressure on for answers. Till next time, remember, every secret eventually comes to light.